Provincial police say a mother is dead and a 3-month-old baby is in critical condition after their family car was rear-ended by a drunk driver Sunday night near Kitchener. A 26-year-old man faces multiple charges for impaired driving. It was a crazy weekend on the highways. The OPP laid more than 100 other impaired driving charges. Dean Wardak was a teenager when he was in a drinking and driving incident. He's now a quadriplegic and has difficulty with his speech. Wardak is 24 years old. He speaks in schools and at church groups about his experiences in the hopes of discouraging other people from getting behind the wheel when they've been drinking. Earlier this afternoon, we spoke with Dean Wardak from his home in Mississauga. Dean, what's your reaction to the death of a woman and a child by a drunk driver this weekend?
Honestly, whenever I hear things like this, it absolutely infuriates me. Because when I was 14 years old, I lost my mother to natural causes. And that devastated my teenage years. So I can't even imagine losing a loved one to the hands of a drunk driver. So it just makes me mad because those people do not have to be dead. They could be alive if people just made the right decisions and didn't drink and drive.
Can you tell me your story about drinking and driving? What happened to you?
Well, 5 years ago, I ended up going to a party and getting really drunk, leaving, getting into my car, and driving into a tree going nearly 100 kilometers an hour.
What condition did the accident leave you in?
I suffered a brain injury and a spinal cord injury. So I'm now a quadriplegic because of it.
You were saying that it infuriates you that people get behind the wheel and drive. There's all kinds of ads and campaigns to try and convince people to not drive once they've had too much to drink, encouraging other people to take keys away from people. Yet this weekend, the OPP laid more than 100 impaired driving charges over the weekend. Do you remember why you got behind the wheel drunk?
Honestly, I cannot remember. I only have some theories, but unfortunately that night I was so drunk, or maybe my brain injury was so severe that my recollection of that night is not with me anymore.
You now go to schools, you speak to church groups and others, you tell your story. What do you say to them?
Well, when I talk to the groups, I tell them how lucky I am to have survived my accident. Just because when you drive into a tree going 100 kilometers an hour, typically there are no survivors. But I also tell them I'm lucky too that I did hit a tree. Because if I were to hit another car or a pedestrian, they might have not survived. And that would be on my conscience forever. And I would be in debt to that family for the rest of my life. And even that wouldn't be enough. Because losing a loved one can never be repaid back.
Dean, what message do you have for people who get behind the wheel of a car after a few drinks?
I tell them it's not worth it. At the bare minimum, you're going to lose your license. But in a worst-case scenario, you're putting your life at risk, and you can affect the life forever.
Why do you think the message isn't getting through?
I think when people drink and drive for the first time, they think, oh, okay, this isn't so bad. Maybe I can get away with it again and again. But eventually, if you keep doing it, you're going to end up either getting caught by the cops or you're going to get into an accident. Just some people need to learn from a young age that drinking and driving is not a good thing, and you need to get into the habit of having a sober ride, whether it be a designated driver, a taxi, or you just sleeping over at someone's house.
Let's hope the message gets out there, Dean. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
That's Dean Wardak. He lives in Mississauga.